Disney and Pixar are expected to have a pretty big opening weekend with their new movie Inside Out 2, which is expected to do pretty well at the domestic box office. This is the first Pixar release since last year's Elemental, which was, regretfully for them, one of the lowest grossing Pixar opening weekends of all time. Just able to bring in barely more than their first Pixar movie, and that's 1995's Toy Story, and that's not even adjusting for inflation. But Inside Out 2 is expected to be one of the highest gross opening weekends for any Pixar movie to date. Now, is this Pixar kind of shaking off the cobwebs of the last 5 years and getting out of their slump, or is this just going to be a flash in the pan for them? So let's kind of dive into this and see what this could mean for the company. Inside Out 2 is on fire at the Friday box office after starting off with a joyful $13 million in Thursday evening previews, well ahead of expectations and putting the movie on course to become the first title of 2024 to clear $100 million in its debut. In fact, traffic is so strong that the Pixar and Disney title is now expected to open to at least $130 million in North America, one of the top 5 openings of all time for an animated film, not adjusted for inflation. Some of the other higher grossing opening weekends for animated films are Incredibles 2, which is $182.7 million, Super Mario Brothers movie, $146.4 million, Finding Dory, $135.1 million, and Frozen 2, $130.3 million. And all of those movies ultimately grossed over $1 billion at the box office. So if Inside Out 2 was able to bring in around $130 million during its opening weekend, that's a pretty good sign that this is going to be $1 billion hit for the studio, which is something that they need because, like I was saying earlier in the video, Pixar has been failing at the box office these last 5 years. In fact, they haven't been able to produce a hit since, I believe it was Toy Story 4, which brought in over $1 billion. But since then, that was around 5 years ago. Everything else has been losing money for the studio, and Disney, for that matter, has been losing money on everything they put out in the last several years. So, or maybe not the last several years, at least last year, everything Disney's been putting out seems to be losing money for them. So this is something that they definitely need to go in their favor. Inside Out 2's preview gross of $13 million is the biggest of the year so far in a needed win for the sluggish box office. The $13 million also eclipses such animated tentpoles as Illumination's Minions: The Rise of Gru, $10.8 million, and Pixar's Toy Story 4, $12 million. Those two films posted a 3-day domestic opening of $107 million and $120.9 million, respectively. Pixar's animated tentpole earning a cinema score from moviegoers is also whipping up excitement overseas, where it began rolling out midweek. Its Wednesday and Thursday haul is an impressive $22.3 million from 31 markets. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, you can see it has a pretty good audience and critic scores too. Actually, I would say those are fantastic audience and critic scores if it's over 90% as of now. And this is why a lot of people think this movie will probably do too well. And like I said, this is tracking along the same lines as other movies that have grossed over $1 billion. But one of the things that's different about this movie and those other movies is because you look at Pixar's track record. This doesn't have all those other animated ones, but just Pixar movies. The last profitable one they had was 2019 Toy Story 4, which brought in $120 million, nearly $121 million during its opening weekend and grossed over $1 billion. But the biggest difference between now and then is we have streaming services, especially Disney Plus, because I've made videos talking about this in the past, how Disney in a way is kind of cannibalizing their box office by having their streaming service and then having movies released so soon after its theatrical debut that a lot of people are just figuring like, I'll just wait for it to come out on streaming. The only people who are actually showing up to watch a movie in the theaters are the ones who are pretty certain that they're going to like this movie. You get some exceptions like Elemental, which had a surprising run after it had a pretty low box office opening. But a lot of the time, though, people are just going to either watch it during its opening weekend or just not watch it at all. So even if this movie does have a pretty big opening weekend, I'm kind of curious what the box office total is going to be when it's all said and done, because with the budget of around $200 million, this probably needs to make around $550 or $600 million at a minimum in order for it to break even. That's factoring in the cost of marketing and the theaters taking their cut of this. And while a start like this suggests that they are going to be able to hit that mark easily, I am kind of curious if it is going to be $1 billion hit like those other movies that had the similar opening in this, because I'm kind of thinking the streaming service for Disney Plus will cannibalize some of the results for this, because right now a lot of people just would rather wait and watch something on streaming, especially when it's a family movie like this. So it's not just a couple adults watching a movie, it's a couple adults and a couple kids. Then there's concessions and things like that. So when you're taking your family out to the movies, it is pretty expensive, but since there's not a whole lot of offerings this year, then maybe people are just figuring like, okay, this is the one movie we're taking the kids out to the movie this year. Or this is the one movie in several month time frame. So since there's not a lot of competitions in the family market at this point, maybe this is going to be the thing that people are just willing to splurge on. But I'm not necessarily confident on that because I still think streaming service are going to kind of take away a big result of this. What I really want to see is the second weekend drop, because if it has a pretty good hold there in the second weekend, then maybe this movie will have a bit of legs. But if it has a pretty steep drop, then that means everyone who wanted to watch this movie is just going to watch it during its opening weekend, and then everyone else is just going to wait for it to come out on streaming services. I think there's going to be a large portion of that, so I don't necessarily expect this movie to be a $1 billion hit, but I do think it is going to be profitable for Pixar, and that's something that they need after having a string of a half decade's worth of flops. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think Inside Out 2 is going to be a $1 billion hit for them, or do you think it's just going to kind of peter out and be maybe successful, but or maybe you think it's going to be a flop entirely? I'm curious what other people have to say about this. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And if you can, click that like button and share the video with your friends because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.